Okay, great, wonderful. So good afternoon, and I'm Judy Stewart, and this is a virtual Career Tuesday. The date is November 14th, and we have joining us today the company Atlas Air, and I'm going to let Lisa Spears Snyder and Adiola, I don't have your last name here, but you'll introduce yourself in a minute, Adiola, speak about what Atlas Air does and um, about the company and about what they're looking for. So without further ado, Lisa, do you want to start us off?
Sure, let me kick it off. First of all, Judy, thank you so much for having us today. I always enjoy being with students, and I certainly enjoy all the enthusiasm that students have for their journey and what's next for them and for this industry and for our team. And when we are here to speak to the students, I always appreciate the questions that we get. So you all really inspire me to continue doing what I do. So my name is Lisa Spears Snyder. I am the Director of Workforce Development here at Atlas Air. And what that means is I work on early career pipeline development. So my role is to work with universities, industry partners, flight schools, and even elementary, middle, and high schoolers to help them better understand a little bit more about the aviation industry. My role is to build partnerships and to build meaningful relationships with different organizations in order to create pipelines of top tier talent to Atlas Air for our high demand roles. And I'm joined here today with oh, sorry, did that click off?
Well, we're on a blue screen now. Oh,
Okay.
there you go. You're back on
That
the,
better? Okay.
yeah.
I am joined here today with one of my colleagues, and Adiola, I will let you introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Judy. My name is Adiola Adeyemi. I work with Atlas. I work as a senior data analyst. So my day-to-day role or activities is just use data to make insightful decisions for the flight ops department, and also find better ways that we use data, and also ensure that we all in the company make data driven decisions. I started at Atlas in 2019. I started out as an intern, then I transitioned into a full-time data analyst. So that's what I do at Atlas Air. For the tools I use at Atlas, just I use SQL, Tableau basically, and some Python here and there to just use to analyze and visualize my data. That's like a summary about me.
That's perfect. Thank you so much, Adiola. And we are so lucky to have her. And as you can see, it's really important to us to host interns and build relationships with colleges and universities because some of our top tiered talent do come from the university pipeline. So we're very fortunate to have Adiola, and even more fortunate that we were able to convert her to full-time status. So, how many of you, before I get started, and I'm sorry, I can't see a show of hands, but I would be interested to know how many of your students, Judy, actually knew who Atlas Air was before this presentation.
Okay,
So,
great.
if there's any way you could get me that information, that's actually information that I track. That's data that I track. So I would be interested to know how many students attending this presentation actually knew who Atlas Air was knew us before this presentation.
Okay, well, guys, put it in chat. Either way, I've heard of Atlas Air. I've never heard of Atlas Air.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll track it for you, Lisa.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
So a little bit about us. Atlas Air basically provides airline services for any organization that needs an airline. So for instance, Atlas Air provides aircraft, crew, maintenance, and insurance for certain clients that we have. And I'll tell you a little bit more about those as we go through the presentation. But we have three different divisions, if you will, Atlas Air being the umbrella organization. And then we have Atlas Air that provides the ACMI services that I spoke about. And then Polar Air Cargo, which is owned 51% by Atlas Air and 49% DHL. And then we have Titan, and Titan is very similar to a car leasing division. It's our finance arm. So instead of leasing cars, we actually perform leases for aircraft and heavy equipment, like engines, for instance, for aircraft. So I always talk to students about stability in the market. And I always like for them to understand when you are looking for your next venture or your next company or where you would like to begin your career and continue your career, you have to look at the stability of the organization. So looking at Atlas Air, one of the things that really makes us stable in the airline industry is that we have a very diversified customer base. And in that customer base, we have built long-term profitable relationships. So as you can see, we work with organizations from shipping to forwarders, different airlines, express operations, and we also do sports charters. So many of you may know Manchester United, or you may be familiar with obviously NFL teams. All of those different organizations are part of our client base. One of our high-level VIP clients is our Department of Defense. So we have the pleasure of transporting military personnel to their mission and also bringing them home safely. And we also deliver supplies and equipment that they need for those missions all across the globe. So here's our fleet. And I know when people hear about Atlas Air, they're not super familiar with who we are, but we do have a couple of really cool things about our organization, not only the clients that we serve, but we also have the largest fleet of 747s in the world. We have an all-Boeing fleet, and we have a fleet of 111 aircraft with currently actually 105 in operation. There are others that are leased, but 105 in operation. Each of the fleet have a different mission. So our 737s, for example, are purely domestic, and they do a lot of the Amazon work, whereas the 767, it does domestic and international. And then you have the 777 and the 747 that does a lot of international as well. 767 and the 747 both have passenger options. So we do have our VIP clients on those two specific aircraft. So here's our global operating network. I always like to say we have extraordinary people doing extraordinary things and going to extraordinary places, and that's absolutely true. So we travel to a lot of places that a lot of folks have not heard of. Specifically, we have over 344,000 block hours. We have 68,000 flights, over 68,000 flights. We go into 314 airports and 74 countries. This is our domestic operating network. So you can see there is a lot of flying specifically for Amazon and the military all throughout the United States and North America. Excuse me. So basically, like Adiola, we are continuously looking for interns for our summer internship program as well as throughout the year. Our summer internship program will run from June 5th until August 10th. And you would apply by using the Atlas Air Careers. But one thing that's kind of different for us is that when you go onto our careers website, you would be searching #intern as opposed to just looking for intern positions. Those specific summer internships should be posted at the end of December or early in the first part of the year. We will probably get those posted, I would say, the end of December, first week or two of January. But with the holidays, it may delay us just a bit. But also, I've included my contact information on there. If you have specific interest in any of the opportunities that you see on our careers website, I'd be happy to speak with you. Anytime you do reach out to me, if you have a resume that's available, it's always helpful to me if you send that resume along. If you don't, that's okay. I still want to hear from you. But again, if you do, please include that. And we will have internships available across the majority of our departments, including crew scheduling, flight operations, technical operations, ground operations, human resources, IT. So we should have several different options for students to choose from.
And where are they, I'm sorry to interrupt, where are they going to be based, Lisa? And will they be in office or hybrid?
It varies. So that's a great question. A lot of our technical operations positions actually will be positioned in Northern Kentucky. But other than that, we will have different positions in New York. We will have remote. We will have, I'm sorry, I apologize. One moment, please.
That's okay. That's okay. He needs some attention.
I am so sorry. I apologize.
That's okay.
Delivery
Just waited for you to get on this call. You know
I'm
that.
sorry. Not the most professional. I apologize.
Okay.
However, I will tell you, we do have opportunities available in New York. We have some opportunities in Miami, and we also have hybrid and remote opportunities. It just really depends on the position that, or the department or the position that's being recruited for. Just, it really depends on that location.
Perfect.
All right. So another way to connect with us, and I always recommend that students do this for a couple of reasons, primarily because we have some great shots of airplanes going in and out of some pretty cool places. But connect with us on social media, so Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, X as well. Also, we have a Tailwinds blog that's on our website, and I've provided the link there. And then I've made it even easier for students today to stay in touch. If you will use the QR code, and you can use that QR code, click Learn More, and add your contact information. You can even upload a resume if you choose. That helps us to stay in touch. Make sure you add your school, the University of Connecticut, and your degree program, because that helps me. When we are looking for specific internships, it helps me to send the correct information to students.
That sounds great. We love QR codes, so thank you for doing that.
Yes, absolutely. And I did send Judy this presentation, so if you need some additional information, certainly by all means, please reach out to me or access this presentation for the QR code or some of the social media handles, please. However you choose to use the information.
Great. So guys, ask questions however you like. You can put it in chat or unmute yourself and ask questions. I'm just going to start out because I know when we spoke, of course, you know, you always need pilots and flight crews, but can you talk a little bit about what are the skills that you look for in entry-level college students, summer interns, or those looking for a full-time job?
Yes. So a couple of things. Well, first of all, I want to mention before we get too far into answering questions, I brought Adiola along with me today because, as you heard, she was an intern with Atlas Air. So I think she can shed some light on her experience if the students have questions specifically for her. I have found that when I'm talking to students, you often want to hear from folks that are in the operation and doing the work. You can really understand what it's like to have a day in the life. So I was really grateful to have Adiola join me today. So please make sure you ask her questions as well. But as far as internships, we have had a lot of different types of internships, including cooperative opportunities, summer internships that are project-based, and then just general part-time internships that last throughout the year. And as I said, they vary in nature. We are looking for students that have a strong interest in aviation. However, it is not a requirement to have a background of any formal education in aviation. We had a couple of business interns actually this summer serve on our technical operations team in supply chain, and they completed some pretty impressive projects around efficiency for our supply chain team and primarily for our material stores department. So really excited to be in front of this group of business students.
That's great. Does anybody want to ask a question of Adiola, who is a senior data analyst? Okay.
Hi Adiola, I am Krishna. I'm in
Hi.
my master's in business analytics and project management.
Okay.
So I am graduating this December and I'm looking out for full-time opportunities, not internships at the moment.
Okay.
So uh, what sort of skills are you looking uh, for someone like me, from someone like me? Because I've had 5 years of work experience before I started my master's. I worked for companies like Amazon. So uh, I've been there, done that. So I also wanted to understand what is it that you are expecting in specific from a candidate like me?
Oh, okay. Just to add, I just want to ask follow-up questions. So, from your work experience in Amazon, you worked as a data analyst or data scientist or business analyst. Which one?
So I worked there as a team lead for an analytics team. I
Okay.
was working on SQL, Python, and Power BI, but I also learned Tableau during my academics here at UConn.
Yeah.
So I'm proficient in all of them right now.
Yeah. I think you're a perfect fit. But Lisa would speak to that. Yeah. I think you have all the skills we're looking for. SQL, hands-on SQL, query knowledge, Python, Tableau visualization, and also communication as well. Data
Mhm.
storytelling. Yeah, those are the skills that we're looking for at Atlas. So I think you're a perfect fit.
Sure. I'll connect with you. I'll keep in touch and
Sure,
I'll
sure,
I'll apply when there's an opening.
sure,
Yeah,
sure, sure.
please do. And Krishna, I feel like a lot of what we are looking for are some experiences or at least knowledge around some of the programs that we are using that Ediola spoke to. And it seemed to me that you do have a background and some familiarity with those particular programs. So yeah, please stay in touch.
Sure. Thank you.
And one of the things that we didn't say at the beginning is that I believe that your headquarters are in Kentucky, but in the Northeast where our college is, you are currently in Purchase, New York, correct? Which
So
is
our
not far.
headquarters are actually in New York.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Let me be clear. Our headquarters are in New York, actually White Plains, New York. That's where we have recently relocated.
Mhm.
That's our new location. We're really excited about that. Very beautiful facility, and certainly I know our team is looking forward to heading back into the office beginning in January. So we have taken some extended time to be remote, and now we are excited to get back to work together. So that new facility just makes it that much better. So that is one location. And then we have a location in Northern Kentucky that you mentioned, Judy. And that location specifically is our Global Operations Center. That is where we have our largest footprint. So where Adiola is located, she's in Northern Kentucky with me. So our whole crew scheduling team is in Northern Kentucky. So when you think of someone that's keeping an eye on the operation and can see everything that's happening every day, 24/7, that all happens at our Global Operations Center. And then in Miami, Florida, that's where our training center is. So we train pilots and flight attendants in Miami.
Got it. Good. Any other student with any other question?
I was wondering if you could tell me a bit more about like your interview process and kind of walk me through the stages of it.
Sure, absolutely. That's a great question because I feel like so many different companies vary in the process that you go through. So for our interns, we ask that you apply, obviously. using any link that is provided in our careers website. Once you apply, what I would like for you to do, if you've made any contact with me, whether it's at this presentation or perhaps at a career fair, I always like for the students that I've met to reach out and let me know that you've applied. Send along your resume that you've attached to your application, and also send me the job number that you've applied for. That's really helpful to me, because what I do from there is I reach out directly to the recruiters and let them know it's a student that I've connected to. Our relationships and partnerships with our universities, like the University of Connecticut, it's meaningful to us, and we want it to be meaningful to you as students. So we like to prioritize those connections. So having the opportunity to speak to you today, I just like to make sure that you all have the opportunity to speak to our team too. So first step is a recruiter would call you and they would perform a phone screen. And that phone screen is really just to make sure that we have all the basic information that we need in order to conduct the interview itself. Our interviews are all done in a hybrid nature. So you would log on with the hiring manager as well as a recruiter, and you would be doing your interview in that fashion. Be prepared to speak to your background. Be prepared to speak to any work experience that you have. I would definitely say be prepared to talk through why Atlas. Why are you interested in opportunities at Atlas? And be able to speak to what you know about Atlas Air.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. So I was just wondering, are you guys currently looking to fill any positions for finance right now? I know you mentioned it a bit. I graduated from UConn in the spring and I'm looking to advance my skills as I reach further out. So yeah.
Did you say compliance?
No, finance.
Finance. Okay. Sorry. It kind of broke up
Don't
there
worry
a
about
little
it.
bit. I am not aware if they will have internships or not, or opportunities, but what I can do, if you would send me your resume, let me reach out to the hiring managers across finance and just alert them, because there is a chance that once we get our budget season approved, which we should be approving those in early December, once that's all approved, then they'll look at headcount for 2024. So go ahead and send me your resume and let me see if I can get that in the right hands.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll definitely send it to the recruiters. We have buckets that we keep. So anytime I receive a resume from a student, I put their area of interest. So for you, I would put finance, and I would place that in the recruiter's bucket. So not only will I reach out to a hiring manager to say, I have a student interested in finance from the University of Connecticut that's interested in Atlas Air. If you have anything that comes up, let us know. But I also put it in the bucket for our recruiters. So in case something comes down the line in a few months, that's a bucket that they would go to.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're getting close to our time, but anybody have any last questions? Okay. Well, here's the good thing. Lisa was kind enough to share her email and that beautiful QR code. And I am also such a fan of connecting on those social media platforms. I think you learn more about a company in a more casual, not as corporate way. And I always tell students when they interview, say something to break the ice, that you know what the company is up to. And a great way to do that is to follow them on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on X, etc. Because, you get like up to date, cool happenings around the company. So wonderful. And for those of you who are on different campuses, I just want to mention that White Plains is about a half hour south of our Stanford campus. So it's about a half hour north of New York, about a half hour south of Stanford. It's a beautiful location because it's really close to everything. So all good. So Lisa and Adiola, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing those great slides. And great information. Students, thank you for joining us today, and have a great rest of the Tuesday. And Atlas Air sounds like a wonderful company to work for, so I encourage you to apply.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Have
you,
a good
Judy.
day.
And please, all of you, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love to stay in touch, and I often post things about cool things happening with the company or some of my colleagues. So, by all means, please stay in touch.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Oh, you are
Bye-bye.
very welcome. Thank you, Adiola.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you guys.
Bye bye.